Hey, I'm Mike and welcome back to the Hangar Hideout. Today, I got a new fuel system. Today, I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade the fuel system on Jorts. I know I got that beautiful box a couple of weeks ago with the blower in it, but Reach said you should probably do the fuel system first because the second that blower's on, I'm gonna wanna go test drive it. And then I'm not gonna wanna put it back on jack stands. I don't care if it's snowing, I'm gonna take it for a ride. Mark my words. So as the good friend that I am, I'm gonna follow his advice. We're gonna go ahead and slap on this here fuel system. What I got is the UPP C5 return system. They say it's rated for over 1,000 horsepower, which is definitely gonna meet our goals. I think when all is said and done, when I'm fully done with this, I should be hovering around 1,000-ish, so this should take us to the end. Not to mention, it can also handle E85. Can I also note that this is the coolest box ever? They actually spray painted UPP, and that looks badass. Why don't we take a look at what we get in this box? Here's everything all laid out that we get, and a little bit of extra stuff, like you don't get a do-all with it. So I was going through the checklist, and we get some 10 AN line. With this one has a 90 and a straight. We've got 8 AN line, 6 AN line, and 4 AN line. So the 10, I believe, is supposed to be the main line from the fuel tank, and the 6 is going to be the return line, and the 4 is going to be feeding off of the fuel rail. I think the 8 goes off the regulator. I don't know. We'll figure it out as it goes. So also included is we have our mounts here. These are going to hold our pumps. So it comes with an AEM fuel inline fuel pump, a new fuel filter. We got fuel line holders. We got all the AN and pipe thread fittings that you're going to need. We got our fuel pressure, and then we have our safety switch. So with all this, we can put together a pretty rad fuel system. An addition that I added is I'm gonna need like a case of Kirkland sparkling water because it's daytime, you can't drink, so you gotta drink something fizzy. And I've already got like 2 down already, and it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. So let's get started, shall we? Also, don't judge my table. As you can see, this is my like college beer pong table, and it doubles as a fantastic parts table. So don't throw away your old college stuff. And if you want to break out a quick game of beer pong. So there's a lot of places that we could start, but for me, first thing first is we got to get the rest of the gas out of this tank because I don't want to wait to have gasoline in the air because I have a kerosene heater. So the quicker I get the gas out and in the gas can and out of here, I can light the kerosene heater. I'm in the Midwest and it's literally 20 degrees outside, which means it's 20 degrees in here. So through the magic of stopping the camera and starting it at a later time, let's go ahead and get the fuel out. Done. See, it was really easy. I just turned it off and turned it back on. Then I marked the spot that I stood. So for those of you wondering how I pump the gas out, I just tapped into the fuel rail right here. Oh God, there's still a little gas. You remove the Schrader valve, which is just like a tire stem puller tool. You pull that puppy out, and then you hotwire the fuel pump. I believe in this fuel box, it is relay 35, and you hotwire 30 and 87, which are like the diagonal ones. Good luck. I'm gonna turn on my heater. With the fuel drained and it being like 55 degrees in here now, let's go ahead and climb under the car because with this fuel system, the pump and the fuel filter are mounted under the tunnel cover. So what we have to do is remove the exhaust and the tunnel cover. Remember that cover that had like 42,000 screws in it? Let's get under there and take it off. I'm not excited. I hate removing exhaust because you do such a good job tightening it down and then it gets kind of clamped on there. It's such a pain in the ass. Anyways, let's climb under there and I'll do my best to show you what I'm doing because as you can see, I'm doing this in my garage today. No hanger, no garage with quick jacks. I should have listened to Reach and bought quick jacks, but I'm stubborn. The exhaust is off and the tonneau cover is gone. I had to take out all 43,652 tonneau cover bolts, but it's finally out, so that's good. So the next step is we need to get that AEM fuel pump and fuel filter mounted underneath where the tonneau cover was. And when I'm doing that, I'm gonna need to bring you over to me so you can actually see what I'm doing. Before I get started, why don't you consider subscribing to the Hanger Hideout? It's free. How many things can you say are free in this world anymore? Like literally nothing. Things actually cost more money now. Except for subscribing to the Hanger Hideout. I appreciate your consideration. Back to work. Here I am underneath the car. Fun fact, it's a lot colder under here with the heater. So as you can see, this is the torque tube and we could get under the cover here. This is the passenger side, and this is right here is where I'm gonna mount the fuel filter and fuel pump. So that kit I got comes with these little brackets that you put together here. So I am going to use probably not the most back, but one step down here, and then I'll mount the other one there. I have M6 bolts that are gonna mount this up. And let me go grab the fuel filter. I'll show you what that looks like. So here we have the filter and the pump, and it'll essentially just sit like this, nice and snug up here. So this guy back here is gonna run back to the tank, and that is gonna run to the front of the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this mounted, and I will see you in just a minute. So I got these guys mounted in from the top. I finally got to use my new ratcheting wrenches. I don't know if you remember this, but for Christmas, I asked Santa Claus for them. It would also be better if you have ratcheting wrenches. I don't. It's on the Christmas list. Santa, I've been a good boy. And guess what? He delivered. Thanks, Mom and Dad. So now that I got these guys mounted, I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up these clamps, and we're gonna slide the filter and the pump in here. You're also gonna notice that there's studs here. So instead of it bolting from the bottom now we're just gonna use a nut on these four. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in, and I will show you what she looks like. And there we have the pump and the filter all mounted up. So this is the orientation I have right now as far as the electrical plugs go. But it's going to come into here, flow through here. So this is what she looks like all buttoned up. I made a mistake, so I had to move this one back one. It was originally here. I moved it here because there's actually a nut back here that you can't see, and I can't go any further back than this. So I had to move this one over. This is what it looks like. So this guy is gonna go back to the fuel tank. So we're gonna have to tap in to the bottom there for our 10AN line. And then this guy is gonna go back up into the engine bay. Originally, I wanted to mount both of these guys on the driver's side, but the driver's side has a whole bunch of lines already on it. So I'm gonna have to make a crossover at some point because I want my regulator on the driver's side. So we'll see how that's going to play out because something that's cool about this kit is that it's pretty customizable. You kind of do what you want, and they give you enough line to kind of have some freedom because every application is going to be a little bit different. However, this is where these guys are going to sit. So the next step is we are going to bring our 10AN line from the fuel filter down to the driver's side fuel tank. And the driver's side fuel tank is what we're gonna tap into for both the feed line and the return line. I'll see you back there. So before we go under the car, I figured I'd show you what I'm gonna be doing, because once I'm under there, I'm gonna be filming with like one hand and trying to hold a flashlight and a camera, and then I'm just gonna get dust in my eye. It's not gonna be a pretty picture. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tap in this guy here, which is -10 to a 3/8 national pipe thread. Now these pipe threads are tapered, so I'm gonna use a step up bit here to just get the very tip in, and I wanna screw it, I don't know, maybe a quarter, halfway of the way. Because since they're tapered, all it's gonna be doing if I screw it in more is opening the hole more and more. Now UPP recommends using super glue as like a thread locker, so to say. So I'm gonna give it a shot. I got super glue in my pocket, and so once I screw it in, I'm just gonna leave it in there for, I don't know, an hour, and then we're gonna start on the return line. The return line is close to the same thing. I think it's a -6 to a 1/4 inch pipe thread, I wanna say. Don't quote me. I'll tell you when I'm actually doing it, because I can't remember. Also, on your step up bit, for me, I like to mark it with just painter's tape so I know how far I'm going. Food for thought. Here I am at the fuel tank, and as you can see right here, I have the pipe thread just started. I think I did like a half a turn. I put no super glue on there or anything, but I wanted to show you where I'm drilling in. So this is the 10-10 line that's gonna go to the back of the fuel filter. And what I'm gonna do is up here, I think about, I don't know, right here, I'm gonna do the return line, and that's gonna be 1/4 inch. It'll be a lot smaller. The only issue is getting the drill in the step up here was kind of a pain in the ass, so do your best. I might be able to like finagle a drill back here or something to get into there. So hopefully we can figure that out. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and put some super glue on these threads, and I'm gonna screw it in, and then we'll start on the 1/4 inch. So now I've got both taps in. I don't know if you could see both of them, but here we have the main one, and up there, that's where I have the return line. So now I'm gonna take these guys out. Again, I only have them like a 1/4 threaded. So I'm gonna take them out, throw some super glue on the threads, because that's what UPP recommended. Then we'll go ahead and let them sit, then we'll start routing our lines. My heater went out, so I had to put my coat back on. Hurry up, heater. Cold. Now it's time to put on some fuel lines. I got this 10 AN with a 90 degree that's gonna go on the gas tank, and then it's gonna fish over the exhaust and connect to the fuel filter. And then off of the fuel filter, I'm gonna plug in this 8 AN. It's got 2 straights, and then I'm gonna fish it up, and I'm gonna try to get it over to the passenger side and see where we can put the regulator. I'm still not 100% sure on where I wanna put the regulator, so probably gonna play around a little bit. Come and join me. Hopefully you can see where I'm fishing things around once I get under there. Time for a little show and tell. So I actually had to move these guys over one, both the brackets. I moved it over one, but other than that, we are doing pretty good. I got both lines fed. This is the passenger side, just so you could kind of get a feeling. I have that line ran all the way back. It fell. I actually ran the return line, and the return line I ran, if you could see at the top here, I ran it down the passenger side. So I have both those ran down. Nothing's plugged in yet, but I have both of the little bungs in the fuel tank down there, so I will attach them up once I'm ready. There was one change of plans. Originally, I wanted to feed this down the driver's side, but I really couldn't find a place to put the regulator. So I ran both lines in the passenger side. Again, it's a little dirty right now. I have to clean it up. But also remember, there's gonna be a tonneau cover right here. That's gonna go up. So I will show you where I'm about to mount the regulator, and we'll see if I can show you any more over here. So I have all the lines kind of ran up next to the header. I'm gonna have to tie those away, and I think I'm also going to wrap them. It'll just make me feel better. I am up here on the passenger side now. You could see the 2 lines. You have the main line and the return line coming up from down there. Again, I want to zip them off. I have them behind this refrigerant line because I wanted it as far away from the header as possible. And what I did is I'm gonna mount the regulator there on this little box that covers the battery and whatnot. I'm gonna show you from the other side. That's what it looks like on the other side. And then what I'm gonna do is just drill 2 holes. I'm gonna put a metal bracket on the other side of it too, just so it clamps really well to it. And you could see I've got everything plugged in on one side. So the bottom's gonna be the return, the top is the feed, and that left one with the check valve, that is gonna go over to the fuel rail. I'm gonna have a fuel pressure gauge on the front there. And on the right side, that is going to be a vacuum line that
once this is boosted, which will literally be the next video, I could get a vacuum reference. For the next step, I'm gonna feed the line from that check valve over there to the fuel rail, which coming over here, we'll plug in right here. That's about it for the physical install. I have it mounted up right here. I have all the lines connected, one to the fuel rail. I've got the return line and the feed line. The kit does come with a gauge that I put on the regulator. This is just temporary because, as you could see, I can't see it, and it would be kind of useless walking around. We're gonna put the fuel pressure gauge inside of the car, but for now, just to get it dialed in, I slapped it in there. The next part is gonna be electrical. I hate everything electrical. So they supplied this nice relay here, and we're just gonna wire this. I'm probably gonna wire it down in the battery box somewhere, maybe even right in the corner. Essentially, all we need to do is we need to tap it to an ignition source. Because it's gonna be right here, I'm gonna tap into probably an injector. We're gonna need to give it power. Power is gonna come probably from the fuse box. They recommend doing an inline fuse, so I'll probably do that. One of the legs is gonna run to the positive side of the fuel pump, and then the fuel pump is gonna hit ground down there somewhere. And the last leg is gonna go to our hop switch. So this I'm not gonna fully install just yet because this needs a boost reference. Once we're done wiring all this stuff, then I will start tying everything down, making sure it's out of the way. I do have high temp sleeves that I'm gonna put the fuel lines in, and I'll probably put the electrical wires in there too, since they're all running down there. So first, we're gonna get this wired up, and then we could start tapping this off. We'll see what we'll get done, and then what we'll wait until the blower's on here. So for now, let's start wiring. I am happy to report that I'm done. That was so awful. I hate wiring every last ounce of it. Just a warning, what you're about to see is not pretty. It doesn't look good, but let me assure you it'll get the job done, and it will work. Maybe it'll work. I really hope it's gonna work. Come on down here and I'll show you what we got. So here is my completed work of art. This is how we wired in the relay. It's just sitting down here very, very daintily. It's not hurting anybody. Maybe I'll do something to make it nicer. But I tied it up with some electrical tape. And as you can see, I got that inline fuse right there. The power is coming over here to the fuse box. The ground is down there somewhere. I don't really remember where. Then I have 3 lines coming off of this loom here. The 2 yellow ones are our triggers. So one, if you can see over here, is going to our injector, and the other one is just, it's free. It's not to anything. This is the one that's gonna go to the switch that I've not installed yet. Now you're gonna ask, how am I gonna test it without it installed? No, just hold your horses, I'll show you, okay? Now if you look down in here, you could see where the fuel lines are running, right down there. They're a little ways away from the header. But if you could see, I wrapped them in that heat-resistant wrap. There's that beautiful regulator with the fuel pressure gauge that you just can't see. And we have the fuel line going over there into fuel rail. It looks ugly now, but I kind of left it there because there's gonna be a blower like sitting over here, and I don't know, I don't want to zip tie it down yet. So this stuff is just gonna kind of sit in here. Maybe I'll make it look a little bit nicer, but also there's battery box covers. And guess what? They could be chrome. So you betcha if I want to cover this up, I'm covering it up with a chrome plate. So let me take you under the car, see what that looks like, and then we got to get the test in. I again cannot stress this enough. It's not going to be pretty, but here we go. So we got both lines. This one's the return line, or no, this is the main line. This is the return line. Then we have the ground coming by freely here. Now, just a note, all this stuff is going to be covered by that tunnel cover, so I didn't really care what it looks like. I wrapped both fuel lines with this guy right here, and I wrapped it all the way up, so I'm not really worried. It's hugging the car pretty well, not sitting on the headers. Let me bring you down here. Here we have the fuel filter and the fuel pumped. Beautiful. So I got the power going up top to the car. The ground is just down here. There's a ground leg right up there. And coming down, we have the fuel lines. Excuse me as I have to scoot. I got these guys over here. I wrapped one of them that I thought was gonna be close to the header. And I'm gonna try to show you these guys up here. Sorry for the camera shake. There are the 2 fuel lines. And that's it. We're done. So that's it for the fuel system. Now you're gonna wanna test. I'm happy to report that I already tested it, and it works. I did it. I surprised myself too, but it does work. What I did, because I don't have that switch in there, is I pulled the relay out, and just like you did the factory fuel pump, you jump the relay. 30 to 87, turn the ignition on. I heard the pump go on. I cheered, I celebrated, I cried, and then that was it. The second test you're gonna wanna do is fill this thing with a little bit of gas and make sure it doesn't leak. So make sure to go back in there and tighten all those fittings after you tie them down. Now, as you know, actually behind the camera, I have my AKA supercharger, I have the line lock that we gotta put in, and a couple other things. So I'm not putting this car back together just yet, so the exhaust and tunnel cover is still off. But stay tuned, and you could see the blower go on next. So the UPP kit, what do I think about it? I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a do-it-yourself kit. They give you the right things to put the fuel system together how you want it. They try to give you enough line to make it customizable, but it's also kind of to the point. They give you a rough idea and you do your best version of it. I'm sure my version of it was not the best of it, but it's in there and it works. Do I recommend it? We'll see how it works on the track. As far as this goes, for the price, you can't beat something that can handle 1,000 horsepower, I'll tell you that much. Anywho'sville, I think that is where we're gonna cut it, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching today's episode.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
It's free, it's easy. All it takes is like that much effort.
And while you're doing that effort, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date whenever we post a new episode. So, we'll see you on the next episode.
And as always,